Welcome to another edition of the Dogger Pass Podcast. This for UFC London. I'm Paul Shaughnessy, joined on the line by the hitter of the Bellator PRP, and I think he hit like 4 or 5 lines on the UFC. Kind of a dodgy card from Cody Saftic, the man, the myth, the legend in the house. Thanks for all the new followers. I got like 1,500 new followers just from you being like, hey, I'll teach you how to win money. And people are like, okay, I'll follow this jabroni. And then like, I'm sure there's going to be once you release that video, there is going to be an exodus from @PaulShag on Twitter like we've never seen before.
I hope not.
I'll lose at least 500 that way. Like that day it'll be a rough day, but I'll keep more at the end of the day. So it all works out.
Well, I'll tell you something. I don't think you will, because I bet you most of them are burner accounts and bot accounts that'll just die off after the video is released. But they might not hit unfollow before they just stop maintaining the temporarily created account. But as you and I were talking about off air, last week was a good week, but it's kind of been a culmination. We've been on a hot roll here. We've been putting some consistent cards together, not getting banged too bad in those bad spots, and getting a couple greasy bounces our way. So fun times all around. We got a European card this time. Don't want to give any of my money back, but I like some spots in this card. So hopefully we don't miss the lines too much, because you can see there is some money rolling in. It feels like the public's on a lot of the same favorites, and I can't go against a whole lot of them, but interested to hang out with my boy Paul Shags and break it down, figure out who we're going with and who we're not.
I mean, the betting card that I have coming into this episode, it doesn't look like I'm going to have a winning record. Let's just say that. It's like I'm taking some dog shots this week, so we'll see how it all shakes out. Anyway, main event, we got Tom Aspinall taking on Alexander Volkov. This line was a straight pick 'em, but it seems like people are moving in on the Brit, who's fighting at home, obviously. He's a -125 favorite. Volkov can be had for +105. I'm going to just kind of talk about this one really, really quickly. If this was a 3-round fight, I think this is an easy, especially at the number that's being offered, easy Aspinall bet. I think he's a lot faster on the feet. I like his boxing. If he can take it to the ground, I think his grappling's pretty decent. The big question mark over top of all of this is I just don't know what this guy looks like if this fight gets really extended. We've already seen Volkov get extended, go into deeper rounds in a whole bunch of fights. Cyril Gane comes to mind. That's an elite competitor that he took on. He didn't look too bad. He lost the fight like 49-46. No one's really debating that, but he at least was able to hang there with like an absolute legit competitor, throw over 100 significant strikes at a decently high clip, especially for a Gane fight, which are usually a little bit slower paced. So we know that he's been there. He's done that. Aspinall, and sorry, I'll continue with Volkov. And Volkov last fight, taking on Topuria, he was getting banged up, hit up on the feet quite a bit there. He looked pretty sluggish, and especially like round 2 and on. Like he won. The stats showed that he won. But he was getting hit by a guy who is definitely not the quality of striker as Tom Aspinall in that fight. 3-round fight, he wins it. I know that he had a baby, or Volkov had a baby coming into that fight, so maybe that threw off his camp a little bit. He just looked a little bit off. Aspinall, on the other hand, like, guy keeps getting better and better, and he shows new wrinkles of his game. Yeah, as I kind of said right off the top, if this was a 3-round fight, easily my money is on Aspinall. I'm still going to lean that way because I think he's going to have a significant speed advantage, and I think he's got the power advantage. If it does go to the mat, he may even have a grappling advantage. I'm not entirely sure about that, but the 5 round scares the hell out of me. So Aspinall is the pick for me, but I haven't put any money on it. What about you?
Yeah, it's one of those greasy fights that you could see. I think I could see going either way. And I don't want a whole lot of confidence on it. So I'm not looking to have it a whole lot of priority in maybe those first 2-3 lines. But to be honest, dude, I hear all you're saying, and it makes me lean Volkov. I think Volkov, the 5 rounds, definitely going to be a key here. Now, I know that's not the sexy pick. I know a lot of people are on Tom Aspinall. And I can completely see him getting the job done. But he needs to knock him out within the first 2 rounds. If it gets extended beyond those first 2, he's going to have some problems. Now, is knocking out Alexander Volkov in 10 minutes an easy task? No, man. The guy's been knocked out twice in his entire career. He's a longtime veteran. He's fought a lot of excellent competition. And by the way, those 2 knockout losses, one's to Derek Lewis on a buzzer beater. And it's Derek Lewis, come on. And the other one, Vitaly Minakov. Yeah, Vitaly Minakov was the undefeated Bellator champion, combat Sambo world champion. Really tough guy, rugged Russian at the time. So Volkov's got a good chin. If he extends this thing out, plays that game that he loves playing, big cage, not a pay-per-view event, but you're fighting in the big octagon, I believe. He stays to the outside. He picks it, chooses when he wants it. The first 2 rounds will be dicey. Tom Aspinall has definitely got a hand speed advantage. He's definitely a more athletic guy. He moves better. He's got bigger power. He's got the type of power that could knock you out. If the fight was to hit the ground, you said maybe a grappling advantage. No, he does have a grappling advantage. BJJ black belt, but also just like a strong guy, good with the submission game. And Volkov's traditionally struggled once the fight does hit the ground. But that's the key right there, is the fight does hit the ground. I don't think Aspinall's got the wrestling to take him down. I think that Alexander Volkov has worked a long way on improving his takedown defense. You go back to the Curtis Blades fight, he gets taken down 14 times, right? And he gets taken down, it's a new record for him, and it's a bad look, but he gets up every time. It's a 5-round fight. He fights all the way to the end. The 5th round is his best round. You see the guy making improvements. You see the guy getting better. It's all about the weight since then. He realized, geez, I'm a heavyweight. I need to get bigger. Weighed in at the Curtis Blades fight at 247. Very next fight against Walt Harris, he comes in at 265. 1 fight difference. All muscle. Knocks out Walt Harris. Looks awesome. Fights Alistair Overeem. 264. Looked really good against Alistair Overeem. First round takes his time. He always does. Second round, he absolutely busts Overeem up. It is a savage beating in that second round. Looks as good as he ever has at 265. The Cyril Gane fight, Gane fought an excellent game. I'm faster than this guy. I'm just not going to engage him. Stay to the outside, pick and choose, 1 shot at a time. Big speed advantage, okay. But that's not how Aspinall fights. He's face-forward aggressive. He comes at you. He wants to mix it up. I think that's going to be his downfall. Now, the Marcin Tybura fight is the outlier because you go back to the Fabricio Verdum fight. He finishes him in the 4th. Cardio looks good, right? You look at the Curtis Blades fight. His best round was the 5th round. After having given up that many takedowns, cardio is on point. The Walt Harris fight, Overeem fights some 2nd round finishes, but he's not going anywhere. The Gane fight's another 5-rounder. The Tybura fight, he's gassed after 3. But he stuffs 16 takedowns, Paul. Marcin Tybura shot 16 takedown attempts. And a lot of them were good. But 265-pound Volkov can stuff a takedown. So what this thing comes down to is Aspinall's going to go out there. He's face-forward aggressive. You see it in all of his fights. He's going to try to mix it up with him. He may have early success, but the longer it goes, he'll start to get tired. Now, we've talked enough about Volkov and what he brings to the table, but in Aspinall's case, his fight with Jake Collier, it's a nice win in hindsight because Collier has actually done pretty good since then, but it was his first fight in 3 years, first fight back up at heavyweight. He catches him clean. Cool. The Alan Bodo fight, worst heavyweight in the division. He takes Bodo down. Not that that's impressive. Beats him on the ground. Okay. The Andrei Arlovsky fight, that's the main fight here. Because he goes out there, he clips Arlovsky, hurts Arlovsky, and he just dumps it. He just dumps this clip right there. Unfortunately, it's like one of those shitty Canadian clips where they put a pin in it to restrict the ammo. Like, he only throws about 20 punches, and he's cooked. He clinches up with Arlovsky and pushes him up in the cage and just lies on him for a minute after that. Then they separate, and Arlovsky starts coming on at the end of the first. Mm-hmm. Second round starts. Aspinall's not moving well anymore. He's lethargic. He's not setting it up good. Arlovsky lands a partial head kick that he kind of gets his hand up half lazy. And it's like, oh my God, the tide is turning. And he just shoots a blast double, rings Arlovsky across the cage. Arlovsky immediately gives up his back and he just snags up a nose hook, rear naked choke. That saves him. Mm-hmm. If he doesn't get that, he's in trouble in this fight. The tide's turning. The very next fight against Spivak is a first round knockout. So the only time you've seen him extended beyond the first round, he's tired. Was that partly because he thought he had a finish, went for it, adrenaline dump, etc.? Of course. Is he better now than he was then? Of course. He's young. He's getting better. No doubt about it. But the one time we've seen him get extended beyond the first round, he didn't look good. He got bailed out by the submission. Against a guy that's coming off of, since he's moved up to 265, his takedown defense, I think it's 100%, and he's just looked very good. If you don't take him down and you beat him up in the first round, but you don't knock him out, second round's going to get a lot closer. Third, fourth, fifth, Volkov might even stop him if he's just too tired to stand anymore. He's got that kick to the solar plex. Ask Walt Harris how that one goes. Nasty left hook. That, jab paws away. And where he didn't look good against Tybura, it's because of the 16 takedown attempts. If Aspinall was to shoot 16 takedown attempts, I'd love that, because he'd gas himself doing it, and the Volkov would take him over in the later rounds.
So Volkov live.
Volkov yeah, live bet, because you're either going to get knocked out in the first round and you have no action on the guy, or you're going to get a much better price come second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round. Now, part of the reason why last week was such a good week is because it was an accumulation of the last 6 weeks in which we were doing well. And when you look at the last 6 weeks, okay, we had Sean Strickland, cardio for days. You like to back a guy like that, okay? Although he's an asshole, the guy's a total prick. Great cardio. Then we go with Israel Adesanya. These are just the main events. You go with Israel Adesanya. Guy's got great cardio. You know he's going to be able to fight 5 rounds. Gastelum fights 2-2 going to the 5th. He pulls through. You want to back that. Jamal Hill, I love his cardio, but he's just got way better than Johnny Walker. And that's the kind of side that you want to be on. So you go with that. Islam Makhachev, cardio for days, okay? For days. You want to fight 10 rounds? Guy can fight 10 rounds. You probably won't make it past, 3, 4, 5, but the guy's got the cardio to fight that long. Colby Covington, oh my God. He's got some of the best cardio I've ever seen at 170 pounds.
Porn star
he's the
cardio.
American George St. Pierre. And Magomed Ankalaev last week. We love backing cardio because these are 5-round fights. And I don't like putting hard-earned money or big money, little sprinkles here and there. You don't want big money here on a guy you don't think can fight beyond 2 rounds. You might believe it in your heart, but you haven't seen it, so you just don't know. Because I don't like backing guys that need 2 rounds. I need to finish them in 2 rounds. No, not good enough for me, unless they were plus money, which he's not. So I'm taking Alexander Volkov.
Yeah, that seems fair enough to me. All right, we got Arnold Allen taking on Dan Hooker, -120 Allen, +100 Hooker. Who you got here, bud?
Yeah, so initially I'm thinking maybe a little punch play on Arnold Allen. I like what he brings to the table. He's on a big, long winning streak, and he's one of these guys that often gets overlooked in the division. So he's got all the skills in the world, good wrestling, good striking. Seems like he's been putting it all together. Dan Hooker, meanwhile, well, I'll tell you my beef, right? So Dan Hooker's just had one of the most thrilling careers of all times. But if you look at the matchmaking, like Edson Barbosa, striker. James Vick, striker. Ale Quintas, striker. Paul Felder, striker. Dustin Poirier, striker. Michael Chandler's an excellent wrestler. Does choose to strike, though. Nasrat Hakparas is a striker. And then he takes on Islam Makhachev. Now, I'm telling everybody it's free money because Dan Hooker's not actually fought any grapplers or wrestlers. And now he's taking on the best one. What do you think is going to happen here, right? And what did happen? It was completely non-competitive in the slightest bit. So early lean was that Arnold Allen probably just go out there, and he's got some decent wrestling. He probably just takes Dan Hooker down. But then when you revise the tape and you look at it, I'm not feeling that. I'm actually going to go Dan Hooker's side of things. Arnold Allen, nice win streak, but here's his problem, right? He gets 1 fight in 2015 against Omer, right? UFC. 1 fight in 2016 against Meza. 1 fight in 2017 against Makwan Amirkhani. It was a split decision. 1 fight in 2018 against Mads Burnell. He lost the first 2 rounds, submitted Burnell in the third with a buzzer beater. Not a buzzer beater, but he beat him in the third as a comeback. He has 2 fights in 2019, but one's Jordan Rinaldi. Doesn't really count. Beats up an old Gilbert Melendez. And 1 fight in 2020, Nick Lentz. 1 fight in 2021, Cody Saftic. There's no activity there. Right? It's easy to say this guy looks good because he fights once a year. You see him once a year. But if you're fighting a regular 3 times a year, like Alexander Volkov fought 3 times last year, he's fighting the best guys in the world consistently. Like that's where you're really going to shine the most, I would believe. Now you go back and you watch those fights. Who cares about the Melendez when he's shot to bits? Nick Lentz puts him through the ringer in that first round. Oh my God, right? Second and third round are competitive, but he is in a nip-tuck fight with Nick Lentz, largely striking, although Lentz tries to take him down a few times. Very competitive fight, man. Very against an aged veteran Nick Lentz. Hindsight, not great. Then that Sodiq Yusuff fight, okay? Round starts off, he's getting outstruck. Not looking too good. And all of a sudden he drops him with like a left hand. Pounces on Sodiq Yusuff. So that scores the round for him, right? You give him the round because he dropped him. Second round, he's getting outstruck by Sodiq Yusuff again, right? And then he lands like a head kick. It gets blocked, but Sodiq Yusuff does the stanky leg, and he takes him down, and he wins the second round. And then the third round, Sodiq wins. So he wins at 29-28. He wins the unanimous decision, but he's essentially losing the entire fight beyond 2 flash moments. Mm-hmm. If you look at the first round striking numbers, Sodiq Yusuff outstrikes him 13-10, but there was that big left hand. In the second round, Sodiq Yusuff outstrikes him 18-9. He doubled him up. But he landed that head kick that made you do the stanky leg. And then in the third round, he got outstruck 16-2. He had nothing for Sodiq in the second round. And in fact, if Sodiq wasn't chinny, which he is, He doesn't have those moments. Those moments don't occur. He loses his fight 30-27 clean across the board. No one's talking about this long winning streak. No one's talking about what this guy's bringing to the table. And look at these numbers. Look how low they are. This is essentially a striking battle. 10 in the first, 9 in the second, 2 in the third. You're fighting Dan the Hangman Hooker. This man has built an entire career on volume and pace and coming at you. And God almighty, you better hope you take him down. And to be honest, his wrestling looked a lot better in the Nasrat Hakras fight himself. So he trains with the best guys in the planet. I know people are saying he's having a bad weight cut, but he's a big, tall guy. You know, he's skinny. It is what it is. You take some water weight out of them. Maybe that's the appearance, but I like Hooker. I like his pace. I think he's going to put it on him. And is it going to be a favorable decision towards Allen if it goes to the scorecards? Potentially. But I'm willing to take the better fighter, so I'm going to go with Dan Hooker.
Yeah, I would wait until the weigh-ins on this one because coming back down to 145, he was like enormous for 145 pounds. And
he's a big boy.
There is some legs to it. Like I saw a picture that he posted of him being like 161, and he already kind of looks sunk, like his cheeks already look sunk in during weigh-ins or during interviews and stuff this week. So, yeah, I'll go with you on Hooker, just on the fact that if this fight stays standing, I think Hooker, one, has an advantage on the feet against him, both in power, technique, and mostly in volume. I think he's just going to throw a lot more strikes over the course of 15 minutes. Chin has usually been good. Just throw the Islam Makhachev fight completely out the window because there's few people on earth who can do that. So Dan the Hangman Hooker sounds like I'm going to wait until weigh-ins before I do anything from a betting perspective on that fight, but I like where your head's at. All right, moving on down, we got Paddy, the Baddie, Pimblett, taking on Rodrigo Kazula Vargas. Paddy, the Baddie, is a minus 510 favorite. Kazula Vargas can be had for plus 375. Are all the bars, are the stoolies? I know that Paddy the Baddie works for Barstool. He has like a show where he does something with them. Are they propping this lineup? Did they watch the fight against Vendramini? Did they watch him? You know, the guy, when he throws strikes, he's keeping his chin way up in the air. He doesn't really look all that comfortable. He just went into complete brawl mode. He gets absolutely cracked by Vendramini himself. Now I know, and Paddy always says it a whole bunch himself, that he's never been knocked out. And maybe that durability is going to hold up again. But I'm not sure if a fight turns into an absolute dogfight on the feet. I think Vargas has the better stand-up. I think Kazula Vargas is going to land a whole bunch of low leg kicks on Paddy the Baddie. Can I see Paddy winning? Of course I can. But I don't think it's like minus 500. Like, I have to be damn sure of it. I took Kazula Vargas plus 400 on the money line. One, even if Paddy, I'm not impressed with Paddy's wrestling all that much from watching some of his Cage Warriors fights. Like, the kid's a very, very talented grappler if he gets the fight down there. But if the fight remains on the feet, I think this is going to be pretty competitive. And Vargas, like, if Paddy does shoot in a takedown, Vargas has a sneaky little guillotine that is actually pretty decent as well. So went back, like, watching the Kazula Vargas fight against Zhu Rong, which I had cashed him as a plus 210 underdog in that spot. He gave up like 2 of the 3 takedowns that he gave up in that fight were like kicks getting caught, and then he fell down. But he didn't look like a complete schmuck on the mat. I think it's a dog or pass situation, and you know me, I like betting my dogs. So I took Kazula Vargas on the money line plus 375. I think is fine as well at DraftKings Sportsbook. I got a little bit better the other day at plus 400.
Yeah, I like Paddy. Well, I didn't like him, but I got him a minus 410. I didn't like that price, but I see it's minus 510 now. So money's coming in for Paddy Pimblett. And I don't know. I think people are trying to fade the character more than the skill set. Let's break it down, I suppose. So the Luigi Vendramini fight, oh man, he gets cracked. But if he was saying he had a good chin, he put it on display, and it absolutely checks out. 3 career losses, never been knocked out. Vendramini doesn't drop him. He eats those shots, and they are solid, and they connect. He just takes them. When you're young, you can do it. And this is a 27-year-old fighter. He's got a lot of pro experience. He can still take a good shot. His striking looked vastly improved to me because, of course, if you watch him on Cage Warriors, he really is only a grappler. His wrestling's not very good. His striking's not very good. If the fight was to hit the ground and it got into grappling exchanges, then he's, he goes into these crazy positions and he can twist and he can contour himself. But he's a guy that has great pace. He's a guy that can fight for 5 rounds. Of course, he's sloppy over the course of 5, but fighting guys like Julian Erosa, it's a tough fight. He does what you have to do. Did he have bad run? Sure, here and there. But I think going into that Vendramini fight, he had a lot to prove. Vendramini cracks him with his best shots. This kid never went anywhere. He kept pressing forward. He kept on him. And to be honest, dude, he lands 47 significant strikes in the very first round alone prior to knocking him out. He doesn't look fatigued. It looks like he's just warming up. It looked like he had a slow start, UFC debut, got caught with a couple big punches, and then after that, turned the tide. Got on this guy, start wrecking him, broke him down, knocked him out. Vendramini's fought in some decent level of guys, never gotten wrecked before like that in the first round. There's a lot that you can like out of a guy like that, right? Moving on, you've got Rodrigo Vargas. So what do you like about this guy? Nothing. He's 36 years old, believe. Yes, he's 36 years old, okay? Starts off his career in Mexico, fighting very low level. They bring him over the first time Combate Americas. They give him Jose Caceres, who's actually the only guy to beat Kamaru Usman, so he's not a total bum, but gets submitted. First time he steps up, goes to off the Mexican regional, gets submitted. It's a story of his career. The times that he gets stepped up, that's when he loses. He finally makes it to the UFC on I don't know why. Should he have been in the UFC in the first place? No. But he draws Alex da Silva. Now, the first round starts out. He tries to work that light kick game that you're talking about. He tries to sit down on his punches. He's very, very flat-footed. But da Silva takes him down off nothing. It's not a good takedown attempt. He essentially just brushes him off balance, and he falls to the floor. Once he falls to the floor, da Silva gets on him and controls him for the vast majority of the first round. Takes his back, all good. With 30 seconds left, he finally is able to break the position and land a little bit of ground and pound. But he loses the first round. The second round, he shoots a takedown, okay? Da Silva literally sticks his hips into him, stuffs a takedown, falls on top of him, and controls him for the rest of the second round. In the third round, you want to know what happens? Da Silva goes out, he takes him down, and he controls him for the entire thing. This guy's got bad grappling. Is he a boxer? Can he box? Sure. He's got bad takedown defense. He's not a good grappler. His subsequent fight against Brock Weaver, the fight starts out, he shoots a takedown on Brock Weaver, he gets stuck in a guillotine choke, okay? He pops his head out, and he's stuck in a Kimura. He gets swept, he gets back up, and then he bombs him with an illegal knee to the face. Was he winning the round? In my opinion, sure. But his grappling was looking trash. Now he gets a fight with Zhu Rong. Zhu Rong is 21 years old. This guy's 15 years older than him. He's way stronger. He's a full-grown man taking on a kid. It's not the greatest of spots. Zhu Rong not only doesn't throw anything, looks bad, and he took him down 3 times. Zhu Rong took him down 3 times, won the second round, in my opinion.
Two of them were like, he caught kicks and landed on top of him, but he ended up like in tough like guillotine chokes that he had to fight out.
What do you think Paddy Pimblett's going to do to him, dude?
I don't know.
Paddy Pimblett's he's either going to catch a kick or he's going to take him down, and once the fight does hit the ground, he's going to absolutely style on him. If for whatever reason it did stay standing, yeah, maybe he can land some outside leg kicks. Maybe he can throw some decent volume. Paddy's going to have more volume than him. He's going to have better cardio than him. He's going to push a higher pace. He's in his own backyard if it's close and he needs it, and he's going to feed off the crowd. He just fought Topuria and 6 guys in a hotel lobby. Guy's ready to go, man. He's geared up to go. Is he too big of a favorite? Yes. But does that change the fact that he's not going to win? No. So I got to go with Paddy.
The way I kind of look at it, and I always look at it this way, is if these guys fought 10 times,
sure,
how does it shake out? So at plus 400, that's Vargas winning 2 times. That's how the math.
Generous. That's generous. Bro.
I think he wins at least 2 times, maybe 3. Like, I don't know, the way Paddy in that Vendramini fight is just standing up, his chin is up in the air. If I lose this one, I'm going to be fading Paddy Pimblett probably next time out, and the timeout after that. I just don't think this guy's very good. I think he's a lot. I think he's just mostly hype. Grappling's all well and good, but if you really struggle to get the fight to the mat, then what really are you? I think he was kind of a lucky, crazy type of affair against Luigi Vendramini. So I'm going to be, if they keep posting minus 500s on Paddy Pimblett, I'm going to keep laying money on the dog. And it's going to work out eventually. I don't think Paddy's like a championship material by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, okay, it's fair enough. But I've gotten into this problem before, early in my career. You got a guy you really want to fade. So you fade the spot. You really want to fade the guy. The opponent's no good. So you force the spot because you just want to fade him too much. Those aren't it, right? Will he lose eventually? Yeah. Should you fade him the next time out? Maybe, yeah. If they book him versus Topuria, top ticket Topuria. Also, a little bit of foreshadowing. We're going to top ticket Topuria this week as well. Yeah. There's bad matchups for him, but this isn't one of those bad matchups. So, I don't know. Take it however you will. I'm not faulting you.
If it was Topuria, we're hiding our kids, we're hiding our wives, and we're putting our entire bankrolls on Ilia Topuria. We'll talk about him a little bit later down the card. We got Gunnar Nelson taking on Takashi Sato. Gunnar Nelson, a minus 475 favorite. Sato can be had for plus 450. I mean, I would rather bet Gunnar Nelson coming off of a 3-year layoff in this spot against Sato than Pimblett at a even slightly worse price at minus 510. It's kind of what I'm saying here. Gunnar Nelson obviously hasn't been around for a while. I believe he had a kid. This guy, he's very, very talented, but it never really seemed like Gunnar Nelson likes being the fighter, likes being around this entire scene. Obviously an incredible grappler. Wrestling isn't exactly the best. Karate style on the feet. Fought the who's who at 170 pounds, and he turns in some really good performances. Obviously, that last fight against Gilbert Burns, title contender Gilbert Burns, like that was a super, super close fight. Split decision loss to Leon Edwards. Like, he's in there with some of the best time in and time out. Takashi Sato, decent striker, decent boxing. Big time liability when it comes to submission defense, and I feel like eventually Gunnar Nelson is going to get this fight to the mat, or at least up against the cage, and jump on his back, find a submission of some way, shape, or form. I was hoping when they opened up those props, I was like, oh man, just put even like a plus 100 Gunnar Nelson by sub, and I will take it. And I saw they opened it at like minus 125, so I was like, you know what? Patience is a virtue. We'll see if anything gets better as the week goes along. I'm looking it up right now. Where is Nelson by sub? Yeah, it's minus 110 basically across the board right now. Minus 110 at DraftKings Sportsbook as well. That would be my play, if any, on this. Nelson by submission probably makes it look easy. On Instagram, he looks to be in pretty great shape right now. So he's been putting his work in, getting ready for his return to the octagon, which we should all be really excited about because this is a guy that is a perennial top 10 guy in the welterweight division.
Gunnar Nelson could be a championship challenger. I don't think he'd be a world champion. He's a guy that could have challenged for a title. Unfortunately, he would have had to have done it at 155 pounds. Like, I've always been a firm, adamant believer that he's not a welterweight, and he'll go out and tell you he doesn't believe in weight cutting. It's the reason why he's always fought at welterweight. He's very adamant about that. He's gone on record many times to be like, an athlete shouldn't cut any weight. So he's always put himself at a disadvantage and just relied on superior skill set. This is the guy that beat Jeff Monson at the ADCCs once upon a time. He knows technique and defeat size, and he's always been a firm believer of that. Try to put those practices to good use, and it hasn't worked out. But when you look at the guys he's fighting, it's murderer's row. And you mentioned the Gilbert Burns fight, competitive. The Leon Edwards fight, the third round, he is all over Leon. Like, it should have been a split decision. It should have been unanimous Leon. I don't know what that was about. But once the fight hit the ground, it's like, man, this guy's got excellent BJJ. His karate style makes him very elusive. He's got an excellent straight left hand. When he broke on the scene for the UFC, he just had like a string of these. He would drop his opponent and submit them, or just catch them clean, catch them with a nice entry, submits Amirkhani. That's a huge win because Amirkhani is a big, hulking, I think he fights at 185 pounds now, 205 pounds maybe. Zach Cummings, as durable as they come. Brandon Thatcher ended up being a fraud. Albert Tumanov, very, very high-level Russian fighter. Alan Jouban, very high-level. Alex Oliveira, 2018 Alex Oliveira, not so much anymore. Back then, these guys are all problems. It's that he loses when he fights the best guys ever. Now, the Santiago Ponzinibbio fight, his eyes got blasted in that one. He got finger banged bad, and the ref just didn't pick it up, and then he got clipped with a hard shot. So you don't hold that one against him, and then the other guys are all top 3, top 5 in the world. the layoff, this and that. All I'm getting at is that he is a world-class operator. It's that he could have been at the highest level at 55. Instead, he just wants to compete at 170. Takashi Sato is a great comeback opponent because there's no real substance to his game. He's very unusual for a Japanese striker in that he's a power puncher, right? Don't really see that coming out of Japan. They're more tactical for a lot of the time. Sometimes they lack strength. This guy goes out. He debuted in the UFC. He had 10 KO wins, 9 of them in the very first round. And when you've seen his career play out in the UFC, he's bang or bust, right? He defeats Ben Saunders, clips him early in the second round. He only had to fight for about 6.5 minutes there, wins. The Bilal Muhammad fight, once Muhammad start wearing on him, he immediately tires out. He takes him to the ground, takes his back, submits him in the third round. Bad look for the guy. Comes back to beat Jason Witt 48 seconds because, again, he's got some power, and Jason Witt has absolutely no chin. Pretty good matchup that favors him this time around. But then it goes to that Miguel Beza fight. Now, he switched his camp over to Stanford MMA for this fight. So this should be him at his best. He's still only 30 years old. Beza's still young, still green. Maybe go out there and take advantage. The first round's close. It's competitive. But beyond that, second round, he's tired, man. He starts moving way slower. Beza just starts beating him with a punch, chopping him up. Late in the fourth round, hurts him, gets him to the ground, and immediately just passes over and grabs an arm triangle choke. Gunnar Nelson's got better grappling than both these aforementioned guys, Bilal Muhammad and Miguel Beza. He's got excellent cardio. He's got good striking. He just needs to extend him outside of that first round. Get him to the second, get him to the third, and then eventually he will get the spot. And when you give a guy of this quality the spot, he's going to take full advantage. So, yeah, Sam, I got Gunnar Nelson. I think he's going to win this one, and I think he could make it look easy.
Yep. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward fight. And, like, when he wins, like, there's a possibility he could get a knockout, but, like, Gunnar wins by sub. So I feel like taking the submission prop is the way to go about it. He's a smart guy. He doesn't put himself in very many dangerous situations. He'll force you up against the cage until you kind of tire yourself out, give yourself up, and get the takedown. He doesn't have a great wrestling game, which is the struggle sometimes, but yeah, I think Gunnar should win this one pretty handily. Like it's a pretty cupcake matchup. Like he knows the game plan. He's not a stupid guy. All right, we got Molly Meatball McCann taking on Luana Carolina, minus 135 McCann, plus 115 for Carolina. Who you got here, buddy?
Okay, so the women's MMA probably looking to not have much exposure to this one. It'd probably be at the bottom of the list. I can see both of them coming through. I can see both of them winning. You've got slight underdog money
on Carolina.
Yeah, sorry. Where's the fight even listed? Oh, yeah. You got slight money on Carolina. It makes me trying to want to favor Carolina's way. But I don't know. This is the way I really see it going down. Luana Carolina has actually impressed me because I used to kind of shit on her. She's got no real physicality in her strength and conditioning. There's videos of her online. She's struggling to do push-ups. She gets submitted with a knee bar from Ariane Lipsky in like less than a minute and a half. Like, This is not a good looking prospect. Does she have tons of volume and decent Muay Thai? Sure, but no ground game, no strength. She's not going to get very far. She won't be limited. The Poliana Botello fight, Botello is a grappler. Botello is someone that's strong. And I'll tell you what, Luana Carolina looked pretty physically strong in that fight. Lands her volume, does a good job of landing her Muay Thai. She's still very young, and she trains at Nova União. They've got her prepared. She's making improvements. Then the Lupita Godinez fight. I take a bath on this one because I truly believe Lupita Godinez is going to defeat this woman. If you're getting knee barred in the first round by Ariane Lipsky, you're getting taken down by Godinez. When she gets you down, she'll fish for an armbar. She's got a good submission game. She's too strong. She is moving up a weight class and taking the fight on like 3 days' notice, but all the same, Godinez is a good fighter. And I had to eat my words on that one. I think you had Luana Carolina. You were, or at the very least, you warned me severely about it.
My mentality was size matters.
It was the height.
And I think
it was the size matters.
And I feel like it's a similar situation here, to be perfectly honest.
But I can tell you the one key difference, and then I'll let you give me your thoughts. So I thought I was agreeing. I thought, you know what? Molly McCann's short as well. Her wrestling's okay, but it's not good. And I don't know that she'll be able to just muscle her to the ground. If it ends up being a striking battle, Carolina's just going to make it dicey. Going to make it dicey enough that at plus 115, worth taking a shot. Here's the two problems, okay? Problem number one. When Lupita Godinez fought her, she didn't set up any of the entries. She didn't try to strike to enter the pocket and grab a hold of the clinch. She just quite literally walked in and tried to grab a hold of the clinch. Molly McCann is always throwing volume. She stays in your face. I think her last 4 fights, she's landed over 100 significant strikes. She's in your face and she's throwing the entire time. So she's not just pressuring with takedowns, which she's going to do as well, but she's setting it up with tons of volume. That's going to be key here because the Godinez fight was close. It was competitive. Molly McCann could swing it. The other problem is I do think that this is the type of fight that the judges probably favor the hometown fighter. You've got notoriously bad boxing judges from the UK, some of the worst in the sport. Yeah. They always favor the hometown person. You're going to have a live crowd that are she's over with the crowd, man. She's the local fighter. They like Molly McCann, and she gets them fired up. She stands in the pocket. She trades. She grinds for takedowns. She bleeds, but she goes forward. It's going to be a dicey women's MMA 15-minute grind fest, close, competitive. People complain about the decision online, but probably does end up not going the dog way and goes towards Molly McCann. And there's not enough dog juice there at plus 115 for me to jump the other way. I just don't have a great confidence reading. Yeah. I could see either girl winning. I could see either girl implementing their skill set to their best abilities and pulling off the decision. But again, the exposure is just not there. The confidence is not there. But the pick would be Molly McCann by decision ever so slightly.
Yeah, like I think Luana Carolina in a neutral playing field would be my selection in Brazil, here. Especially, but I've watched enough Saturday afternoon boxing from the UK to know that like absolute disgusting judging is a regular occurrence on pretty much every single Saturday. So would I be shocked if like Luana Carolina outpaces her on significant strikes? There's a little bit of cage control for McCann. Anytime McCann lands a strike or even gets like partial takedown or something like that, the crowd absolutely erupts. We go to the scorecards and it's a greasy split for McCann. Absolutely not. So I already thought about, being at the O2 Arena in London and how that probably gets me off of taking a dog shot. If you gave me like plus 170 to like plus 200, I wouldn't have a choice but to try my luck against the British judges. But it's closer to a pick'em, so there's just not enough meat on the bone for me to risk getting completely robbed by the judges. I think Carolina on paper, I feel like it could look a lot like the Godinez fight where, Carolina's got like a 6-inch reach advantage. She's going to be able to tag Molly McCann from range. And if she does take her down, I just think that Carolina's got enough size that Molly's not going to be able to hold her down and just keep her in place. But yeah, no, the crowd definitely, the fact that there's a crowd for this event, it's going to be a very, very excited crowd at the O2 Arena. It scares me as well, so I've been staying away as well. I'll pick Carolina for the purposes of this show, but I don't think I'm going to get my money in there. And be careful about live betting this one too. If you right. You got to factor that in too, because the crowd will be going nuts for her. They love Molly McCann in jolly old England. All right, moving on down, we got Ilia Topuria taking on Jai Herbert. Minus 550, I believe, the biggest favorite on the card for Ilia Topuria, making his lightweight debut after a big, mega facepalm against Charles Jourdain on like short notice, not able to make weight after Evil, all of that stuff. Throw that stuff aside. He's fighting at 155, and he's given up a lot of size here. Jai Herbert's very, very tall. I believe he's like 6'1". Reach is huge, but Topuria's got this guy covered basically everywhere. Particularly take this fight to the mat, use that grappling. But Topuria is one of those guys that's like, I think he knows that he's got that in his back pocket if things get dicey. But he likes working on those hands. He likes digging those body shots. I mean, in fairness, against Ryan Hall, he fought very, very smart right up until the end of round one, and then went into his guard when he realized, hey, there's not enough time to get submitted, and finished the job off. Herbert has shown time and time again the chin is an absolute liability. Topuria hits super, super hard. Path to victory, the easiest path to victory is Ilia Topuria by submission here, but I wouldn't be surprised if he knocks him out either. As you already alluded to earlier in the show, Topuria is your top ticket, and I can't really argue against that in any way, shape, or form. I think he's the biggest quote-unquote lock on the card.
Yeah, and that's the problem too, is that he's a lock when you see the fight announced. He's a lock when the line gets dropped, but they're all soft limiters. Like, you just can't get a whole lot of real money on it. You got to wait till it gets closer to fight week before they fully open it up, and then by that point you're paying the minus 600. So yeah, I mean, Topuria is the pick. He's the universal pick. I don't know anybody that's going against him. There's not a whole lot of people playing contrarian. And the people that are bringing up the same shit that we've heard over and over with Jai Herbert. It's like, well, he's an excellent striker, which he is. Maybe he'll clip the guy, which he doesn't. That's been his biggest problem. Get this, right? So yeah, only lost to Riz McKee by first round knockout coming into the UFC. But you see there, Riz McKee, pretty limited, not really much of a power puncher, and knocks him out in less than 2 minutes. Okay, maybe there's a chin issue. You don't know quite yet. But they debut him against Francisco Trinaldo, and he's an even money play. Francisco Trinaldo is one of the more savvy, durable, experienced, crafty, just long-term guys of the division. Pretty tough debut. And of course, he just gets plowed with an overhand right or overhand left, third round. Started off quite well, and then just fades. And then all of a sudden he gets tired, and then he gets clipped. He's kind of a defensive liability, but you give him a pass because it's Trinaldo, sure. The Renato Moicano fight, I did very well in this fight because everybody was saying, Renato Moicano's chinny. Look at his losses. He's moving up to 55 because he's getting knocked out by featherweights. Yeah, Chang Sung Jung, Jose Aldo, that type. I get that. But people thought Jay Herbert's got a puncher's chance in this one. But I'm very adamant on this one that Moicano's got good grappling. And watch, he'll just take him to the ground. Moicano ragdolled him, Paul. It was non-competitive. He got the takedowns whenever he wanted. He dominated him once he was on the ground. This is a very walk-in-the-park type fight. And then Moicano chokes him out in the second round. There's levels to this. And here's a dude moving up from 45, similar to Topuria, but he's just got such a better grappling advantage that he defeats you. Now they give him Kama Worthy. Well, here's the interesting one here. So Kama Worthy's got 9 pro losses, and 8 of them are by knockout. Someone's getting knocked out. Everybody knows this. Nobody's betting the over 1.5 on this one. And of course, he goes out there and he clips Kama Worthy. Does that put him back on track? No. He's a little bit older. He's 33 years old. I would say his skills have probably gotten to the level that they're going to stay at. He does have good striking. He has a nice jab, but he just can't take a punch. Therefore, he can't strike for 15 minutes. His grappling's not quite there. His physicality, his clinch game, his wrestling, all not there. And those are all areas of the game that Ilia Topuria strives in. So, yeah, he's a top ticket guy. He's our play this week. And unfortunately, by the time I tweet it out on Saturday,
he'll be minus 800.
Yeah, 100%, dude. He's going to be a very, very big favorite. So we might have to go 3 guys on the top ticket to make up for that value. If you are one of the loyal fans of the show and you just listen to it on Wednesday instead of trying to blow my phone up, blow my phone up on Friday, Saturday, like just watch the show, right? We love Topuria. You don't got to ask me about it on Saturday. That's your guy. Jump on it now because it's going to keep heading up in a worse direction price-wise.
College basketball fans, join the action on the court during the biggest tournament of the year with DraftKings Sportsbook. Turn your team's victory into your own big win. New customers can bet $5 on any team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. It's that simple. If they win, you win. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you can still join the college hoops action with DraftKings Pools. Everyone can play free pools all March long for a shot at a share of over $250,000 in prizes. Simply join a pool and answer questions like, who will make it to the next round? Who will hit the most three-pointers? Then track your results. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code DOP. Bet $5 on any college hoops team to win and get $200 in free bets if they do. If they win, you win with promo code DOP this week at DraftKings Sportsbook. 21 plus. Restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
All right, we got Mike Grundy taking on Makwan Amirkhani. Minus 190 Grundy, plus 160 Amirkhani. Both guys, very, very solid wrestling. Both guys, questionable cardio as the fight goes later into fights. Both guys probably fighting to keep their UFC jobs here. Who are you leaning towards there, bud?
This is a fight I kind of flip back and forth on because, again, you make you boiling it down to the simplest point is they're both good wrestlers. They both have suspect cardio. The difference is one of them's got bad striking, Makwan Amirkhani, and one of them striking serviceable enough in Mike Grundy. Now, I've gone on Twitter a few times this week being like, I'm not 100% sold on Grundy because, again, the cardio does make me worried. A lot of people have been like, oh, man, cardio's not bad. Check it out again. Looking at it, it's possible that his cardio is not bad, but if that's the case, he has bad ring IQ because he just overexerts himself, man. Everything he does is just too fast twitch muscle. It's too explosive. He's just trying to jump all of a sudden. It's just a lot of wasted energy. And when you watch his debut against Nad Narimani, wins the first round, okay, good first round. The second round, dude, he's tired and he gets rocked. He is on skates. He's rubbery legs. Nat Narimani gets way too aggressive, runs in, he catches him with a counter shot, knocks him out. Good win in that you won your UFC debut by knockout, but you couldn't take Nat Narimani down in the second round. His wrestling didn't look all that good. His cardio didn't look all that good. He knocked him out, great, but his chin didn't look all that good. Wasn't a great performance. The Movsar-Evloev fight, he fought like a world-class fighter for 5 minutes. He was all over Movsar-Evloev, and Evloev is one hell of a prospect. Not a prospect at this point, bona fide contender. Excellent first round. But he exerts so much energy in these takedowns and these submission attempts that Movsar-Evloev survives, and then he kind of gets tired. Evloev takes over with his superior striking. Evloev doesn't have great striking, by the way. And then the Lando Venata fight. This should have been him at his best, right? Lando Venata is he wrestled one season of wrestling in college, but it's not like he's a world-class wrestler at the level of a Mike Grundy. Grundy could not take him down. Got tired trying, got pieced up on the feet. So does he have bad cardio? I think so. But if it's not that, then it's his ring IQ. It's his game planning. He's not saving himself properly. And it's just very fortunate that he's taking on Makwan Amirkhani, who Makwan doesn't overexert himself. He just gets tired. I couldn't even tell you how he's getting tired, Paul. Sometimes you see him standing there. Nothing happens for a minute. He throws 2 punches, and then a minute later, it's like he's exhausted. He's tired.
When he looks
it's
good.
Been a problem for him all the time.
When he looks good, he looks brilliant, though. Like, round 1 against Lerone Murphy is an absolute stud. Absolute dominated.
Against almost anybody.
Dominated him in round 1. Round 2, gets knocked out in the first 14 seconds. Like, yeah, when he's at his best, like he's had some really good moments in his UFC career. But yeah, I mean, one of these guys is probably getting cut. I'm gonna lean towards Grundy here myself, and it sounds like you're going that direction as well.
Yeah, I would say Grundy can afford to lose one more because he's fighting a good level, and it only would drop him to 1-3. Like, maybe you give a guy one more, but Makwan Amirkhani's back's against the wall because he's fought good guys and he's fought mid-level guys, and it's the same result. Good first round, bad second and the third. Why does he have that good first round? Because he always manages to take down his opponents. He always scores a takedown on his opponents. If he can't take down Grundy in that first round, which I don't think he will, that's his only good first round. Now they're both tired. And they're both standing, and neither guy can take each other down. It's a stalemate. The wrestling's a stalemate, and they're both gassed out. But one guy throws absolute hammers and can strike a little bit. And Makwan Amirkhani, is he gonna strike for 10 minutes to win 2 more rounds? Nah, I really don't think so. So I got Grundy, but again, I want to be a little bit cautious in my approach towards him because I do recognize some potential apple pie shit potential.
Maybe we've got potential apple pie shit potential, or maybe not in this next one.
I like that saying.
We've got Sergei Pavlovich taking on Shamil Abdurakhimov, -305 for Pavlovich, +215 for Abdurakhimov. Pavlovich has been off for what, like 2.5 years, 3 years? It was before the pandemic even started. October 26, 2019, the last time we've seen him, which is probably good because, you know, he's only 29 years old, which in the heavyweight division, it means he's an absolute baby. The guy just throws absolute hammers. Guy hits super, super hard. The one blemish on his record was against Alistair Overeem. Able to hold him up against the cage a whole bunch, and then at one point able to basically trip him. It's credited as a takedown, but it was more of like a trip takedown, gets on top of him. Once he lands a couple ground and pound strikes, I mean, it's the heavyweight division. You take a couple clean strikes from top or from bottom against anybody, and it's going to put your lights out. He recovered pretty well after that, coming off wins against lower tier guys in Marcelo Golm and Maurice Green. Absolute hammers, as I said. Like, it was easy and fun to watch tape on this guy because the fights don't really last all that long. Question becomes, like, how much time has he been putting in between? Like, in the last 2.5 years, we haven't seen this kid. He is listed on Tapology as having a Greco-Roman wrestling background, which I find interesting because if he's able to keep this on the feet, like Shamil has shown, you know, particularly in like the Dawkins fight, he was doing all right on the feet there. And then right at the end of round 1, eats that left hook and that drops him. He's 40 years old. He's got the hairline of like a 65-year-old man. Like, I want to see his real birth certificate is what I'm saying about Shamil. I don't know if this guy's only 40. There's definitely been some miles on the road for this guy. It seems like he's getting slow, sluggish, but the big question mark is how much better is Pavlovich going to be? Because minus 305 in the heavyweight division is you better be damn sure. And there's just a whole bunch of question marks that I have for Pavlovich because we haven't seen him in 3 years almost.
Yeah. Well, a lot of guys, you think to yourself, 3-year-long layoff, what version's going to come back? But I think when you're young, then you should be making improvements. And apparently he's been training at Eagles MMA. So, I mean, if that's the case, maybe he puts that Greco-Roman wrestling to good use and make something happen. The more realistic fact is that he'll probably go after Shamil Abdurakhimov hard, right off the hop, and try to get a first-round knockout. If you don't really have great cardio, you're not confident in your cardio, you're coming off a long layoff, you're going to go out there and just try to finish the fight as quick as you can. And this guy has made an entire career of finishing fights as quick as he can, not just in the UFC, but before that. And to think he's just a bum rusher, well, not necessarily. He's got wins over this Sultan Mirzaliev with a first-round knockout. Ruben Wolf, who's a longtime Russian regional scene guy. Bagagav, that wasn't a knockout. Chaba Khan, right? Fought Jeff Monson back in the day. Alexei Kudin. Mikhail Magnoktin, he was in the PFL tournament, but he's like a 6-time world Sambo champion.
Yep.
Kirill Sidikov is Baby Fedor.
Yeah,
he smashes all of them, right? Yeah. It's when he made that jump and fought Alistair Overeem is the headliner, wasn't it?
Yeah, as a 27, and he was only
it's the co-main event.
26 years old, and I watched that one against the kid from Bellator. Kirill,
and Mikhail,
Kirill, which I don't think that guy's all that very good. He's kind of chubby and all of that, but like he made quick work of him. Absolutely smashed him, and like if for anything, the Sidelnikov is at least pretty durable. So being able to just punch right through him is pretty impressive. There's no doubting that this kid has power. He has a lot of potential. Hopefully he's been putting in a lot of work because he could be a big problem.
And that's what I'm getting at, is that we know that he's got big power. We know that he had high upside. It's that at 26 was a little too soon to fight Alistair Overeem in a co-main event in your debut, for sure. But the time off, go back to the drawing board, get better, make improvements. All those skills are still going to be there. They just should be even better. Now, to show you how much the UFC has faith in them, aside from booking him in a main event against Overeem in his debut, is that after the Maurice Green fight, they book him in a fight with Cyril Gane, right? But he's got visa issues, or he apparently got hurt for that one. Then they book him in a fight with Tom Aspinall, but he's got visa issues. So they reshuffle the fight, try to book him against Tanner Bozer, apparently, travel issues, and now he gets Cyril Abdurakhimov. They had him against Gane and Aspinall in these subsequent fights. They do see that there's something there. It's that he hasn't been able to compete. Now, with Shamil, at 40 years old, he's definitely lost a bit of a step. Like him at his best, he's definitely a problem. He moves well on his feet for a guy that weighs 260 pounds. He, in a 3-round fight, would have beaten Derek Lewis. I mean, he's up 3 rounds and then gets knocked out in the 4th. Yep. But then after that, it became a repetitive theme, was where he wins these layup type of opponents where he looks greasy. But when he takes that step up and takes on a more athletic opponent, he's not in them. Curtis Blades is great wrestling, so you don't really got to consider that one too much. But once he just takes him down, that's it. Easy takedown, smashes him. Could Pavlovich do that? I believe so. The Chris Daukaus fight, Chris is just too fast for him, too much hand speed. Did he look competitive early? Yes. But again, he gets outstruck like 28-14 in the first round and gets knocked down right at the end of it. In the second round, he comes out, he looks hurt. And he gets doubled up on the striking numbers, like 8-4 or something, 10-3, and then gets knocked out in the second. He's not moving as well, can't take a punch as well. His takedown defense is not great. His get-up game's not great. I would say that this seriously favors Pavlovich. The red flag is the time off and this and that. And I don't love betting on one-round fighters because, just like I talked about in the main event with Aspinall, what if it goes to the second? What if it goes to the third? Like, do I think Pavlovich can fight an extended period of time? Not the way he fights, but luckily for him, I don't think it's going to matter. Whereas Volkov's got legendary durability, Shamil Abdurakhimov does not. I think that'd be the key difference in him going out there and getting a win. So, yeah, I got Sergei here.
Yeah, and the problem is, I mean, I'm going to probably just stay away from it just because heavyweights be heavyweights. Because even when you look up Pavlovich wins by KO, it's minus 200. Minus 200 at DraftKings Sportsbook is the best available. So it's like, they're just not, it's a very, very clear-cut kind of path to victory for him. And the books are very wise to it. Good on them. But not much value to be had on that one. Moving on down, we got Nikita Krylov taking on Paul the Bear Jew Craig. Nikita Krylov is a minus 180 favorite. Craig can be had for plus 155. A whole bunch of people on the in MMA betting Twitter, when this line opened, they got in on Nikita Krylov at like plus money. I can't really blame them. That would have been a nice little buy-in spot on it. As this line moves to minus 180, plus 155, watching tape, one real trend that I saw from Krylov that I did not like is literally like every single fight, it's like he's trying to prove something to somebody. I don't know. He's got kind of like a karate, kickboxing type of style. But he's trying to mix it up with the wrestling, like against Valiev, like right early on in the fight. That's when he gets his one takedown against him. He shoots in, he's trying to cut an angle and get a takedown against Magomed Valiev. Ends up getting the top position for a little bit, but I think it affects his cardio as we go deeper into fights a whole bunch of times. And I just don't really understand, like in a lot of these stylistic matchups where at best maybe he's like 50-50 with these people in wrestling, and like against Valiev, I don't think he's 50-50. He's just putting himself into like harm's way, I feel like a lot of these fights, like pursuing takedowns. Going back and obviously this was back in 2018, so I'm sure he's made a lot of improvements since then. We did the same thing against Blachowicz. Like, he shoots for a takedown in round 1, ends up getting reversed, ends up on bottom with like 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in round 1, throws away the round, then gets finished in round 2. So another type of situation where it's just like, why are we pursuing these takedowns? It just seems to be all of the fights that I watch from him, he's trying to mix in takedowns. And, like, Paul Craig is a guy who is going to, with open arms, if you shoot for a takedown on him, go, come on, come into my guard. Let's go. Because that's where he does his best work. Like, I went back and watched, like, the Shogun fights. The first Shogun fight that's, like, super, super greasy. That's, like, the floor for Paul Craig, because it's, like, his striking isn't great. Takedown entries, specifically in that fight, were pretty deplorable, to be perfectly honest. Looks like he had made some improvements in his takedown offense in the second Shogun fight. Obviously, the Jamal Hill fight. But basically, he pulls guard. He flat out pulls guard and is able to snag up his arm, separates his elbow, and that's the last we've seen of him. For whatever reason, the guy who we thought was super, super injured that night has fought 2 times since then, is probably higher up in the 205-pound pecking order right now because of his activity, and Paul Craig is here in this spot. But, I mean, if Krylov... I saw some people go, well, in the first Shogun fight, it's like Shogun's able to hang out in his guard for an extended period of time. It's like, if I bet Nikita Krylov at minus 180, I don't want him hanging out in Paul Craig's card whatsoever. That is the danger zone. Craig has made some improvements in the second Shogun fight with his takedown. Like, he had throw a jab, sneak underneath, landed a couple takedowns that way. The stand-up is pretty herky-jerky at the best of times, but he's super, super dangerous as a submission expert. Oh, man. I think if I was going to play anything on this fight, it would be Paul Craig by submission, which can be had for, let's see, I think someone was posting earlier that Paul Craig wins by submission. Man, I hate how the organization of this is sometimes. Plus 450. There were plus 450 at DraftKings Sportsbook. I feel like if I was going to really if I was going to invest anything, and I'm not going to, it'd be Paul Craig by submission. I think, and I hope for Nikita Krylov's sake, like, keep this fight standing. You're a better kickboxer than this guy. Don't let yourself get into these dangerous situations. Don't go to the mat, because that's how you lose this fight. I think Krylov should win this fight, but I've seen enough bogus decision-making from him to steer clear from the minus 180. So, I mean, I said a whole bunch of things. I would rather than take Craig by the money line, I would rather take Craig by sub at 3 times the odds. But I think Krylov, if he minds his P's and Q's, should be able to win this fight pretty cleanly on the feet. So Krylov, I guess, is the pick, but I don't love it. I'm staying away from it like the plague.
Yeah, I don't mind Krylov. I think he could make this look real easy, or he could make this look greasy, but I think he wins in both scenarios. And so you got to look at competition as something, man. Look at Nikita Krylov, okay? These are his last 3 losses since he got re-signed to the UFC, okay?
He's fighting good guys.
No, listen. This is a great line I'll probably tweet out later. Yeah, okay, sure. Oh, yeah, he's making bad decisions. He fought the former champion.
Yeah, but he's doing stupid things in those spots. Don't do stupid things.
Whatever, man.
But why try to take down Jan? What's he trying to gain out of that? Do you think he's going to be able to just muscle around Jan Blachowicz?
So he fights the former world champion in Jan Blachowicz, one of the best guys in the game. Okay. His next loss is to the current world champion in Glover Teixeira on a competitive split decision. His next loss, Magomed Ankalaev, is to the future world champion. He's fought the former, the current, and the future. Those are his 3 losses. He's fighting the best guys in the world. You're questioning why he tried to take down one of these guys. He did take down these guys. Yeah. He's got 2 takedowns over Glover Teixeira.
It was dumb.
He got a takedown over Magomed Ankalaev. You think this is easy work? He's 29 years old.
It's bad decision making.
Vastly improved.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I would worry about him.
You should take Paul Craig. You should take a shoey bet on it too. It sounds like this is your AJ Fletcher pick of the week.
I didn't even bet it. I said that I even just picked Krylov. I said mind your P's and Q's, keep this fight on the feet. But I've seen him do enough stupid stuff in the tape that I've watched that it's like maybe he's dumb and he's just going to put himself into harm's way.
It's MMA and he's fighting Paul Craig. So could he get tapped out with the triangle choke with 1 second left on the clock? Sure. But he's fighting the best guys in the world and he always gives a good account of himself. Okay. He's got a significant wrestling advantage when you consider that Magomed Ankalaev took him down 3 times on 9 attempts, 3 for 9. Glover took him down once on 6 attempts. The guy's takedown defense is vastly improved. He spent time on American Top Team. He's a vastly different fighter. He's always getting better. When you look at the guys he's fought, it's all champion material, top 3, top 5 guys. When you look at Paul Craig, this is his run, Paul. This is his run, okay? He loses the first 2 rounds to Kennedy Njoku, who's non-relevant, before coming up with a buzzer beater in the 3rd. He gets knocked out in 3 minutes by Alonzo Menefield, who's completely non-relevant.
I know.
He beats Vinicius Moreira, who's even less than non-relevant. He has a draw against Shogun once he gassed out after the first round, non-relevant. He beats Gazmarat Antigulov, who's less than relevant, probably the bottom of the barrel of all these guys he's fought to this point. He beats Shogun again. Could you imagine they rebooked that thing? And he breaks John Mahal Hill's arm on I won't call it a freak injury. It was a sweet setup, dude. But Hill engaged him twice, made a bad move. Hill's young, grappling's still something that needs to come away. If you just stand with him, Krylov is going to absolutely maul him. He's going to go body kick, head kick. Get him to drop his hands. He's going to eat it in the face, straight left down the middle, probably a first round knockout. If he chooses to take him down, you're right. That would be stupid. I just don't think he's hung out with better guys, not better guys, but he's taken down Glover and hung with him. He's fought in a good level. I just think he's got him outgunned, and if he fights the proper strategy, he makes it look easy. If he does take him down, he can make it way more difficult on himself. Could get caught. I just got to go with more probabilities he doesn't get caught, and he probably smashes him out of here. So you're right. Hill's fought a couple times and put himself in contention, and Craig's just sat on the victory because he's 34 years old. This is a career best win. He's got a good little streak here. He doesn't want to go out and fight all these young up-and-comers. He just wants to take his time, get a couple spots here and there, hopefully capitalize on them. I just don't think Krylov's the guy. He's still only 29. You see improvements of him all the time. When he loses, it's literally to the best guys in the division. And it was minus 175 yesterday. I think it's minus 180 now.
Correct.
Still fair in my opinion.
Yeah. Hey, I feel a little bit of tension here. I got fired up. I don't mean to disrespect your boy. I think he should win this fight. Just don't be dumb and just go right. If Paul Craig tries to pull guard, Like, push him away.
Which he will.
Which he
This
will.
is pretty obvious.
He will. Just, like, try to push him away. Stand back up. Like, you should be able to absolutely torch this guy. The only way you make this difficult is if you either, A, shoot for takedowns early, which is what he does in a whole bunch of his fights, or B, allow yourself to get takedown. But, like, Paul Craig's wrestling isn't really good enough to make me feel like he really has much of a shot of taking Krylov down. Krylov can control where this fight takes place. If I were to bet Nikita Krylov, I hope this fight takes place on the feet. That's all I was saying.
I wonder if
I'm not taking on. I'm not
like a under. What's the under 1.5 on this?
It's plus money.
It's plus money under 1.5. Really? That's interesting.
Plus
to me.
125.
The way Paul Craig
1.5.
fights, it's let's get this thing done right now.
Let's get it started.
And Krylov is actually the kind of guy that in Krylov's got like the highest finish percentage, right? Like he's got 27 wins. Aren't all 27 of them by finish?
No way.
He won a win. Yeah, he won a decision over Johnny Walker, and then he's got 27 finishes. So I'm gonna tell you something, Paul. This fight probably ain't going very long.
Taking down Johnny Walker was smart game planning, so I'll give him that.
Yeah.
The minor.
Yeah, that was good.
Not all a loss. Yeah, I mean, like anybody who is Paul Craig lost the last 2 rounds against Mauricio Shogun Hua, the ghost of Mauricio Shogun Hua, in their first fight. And it was not good. Like obviously he got the 10-8 first round, but like the striking exchanges, he ended up on bottom a whole bunch. He was exhausted. Like it's kind of hilarious that he's stuck around and won so many fights, but it's because he's so crafty with his submission skills. Otherwise, he's just any other ragtag guy on the regional scene. But we both like Krylov to get the job done here. Don't do anything stupid, Nikita. Timur Valiev takes on Jack Shore, minus 120. Timur Valiev. Jack Shore can be had for plus 100. What I was really, really struggling for, I'm watching tape on Timur Valiev here. I wanted to see like guys actively shooting takedowns on him. Now, I watched like 3 or 4 fights, and it just wasn't really there. He's very, very mobile in there. I think he has a massive advantage on the feet against Jack Shore. But and I know what Timur Valiev trains in like New Jersey with like Frankie and all those guys, doesn't he?
Yeah.
So I'm sure he's seen quality wrestling all the time. This line the other day was like minus 145 when I updated the boards just before we started doing this show. Went from minus 145 to minus 120. So money is coming in on Jack Shore. What I really see on tape, though, is if Jack Shore is not controlling the situation from top control, I think he gets absolutely dusted on the feet against Timur Valiev. Timur Valiev is the one question mark that you kind of have. I don't know if his chin is the best. Like, Rowney was able to absolutely rock him, wasn't able to finish him. But, I mean, hell of an effort to be able to fight in round 3 and win that round against Rowney Barcelos. I feel like that should have, with the 2 knockdowns by Rowney, I still feel like that should have been scored a draw. But it is what it is. I just see so much more speed, or such a bigger speed advantage for Timur Valiev in this spot. So I'm actually kind of surprised by where this line has been moving. I'll probably wait a little bit longer, watch weigh-ins, yada, yada, yada. Maybe we end up getting an underdog play because, British bettors are going to be betting Jack Shore. I think Valiev is the side here. What about you?
Yeah, see, I'm struggling with this one as well. I mean, it's a tight pick. On one hand, you got Jack Shore, who's been my guy. I mean, he's 15-0 in his career, but he's undefeated as an amateur. I think he's got 27 straight wins overall between amateur and pro coming in. He's got a cast iron chin, excellent wrestling, great pace. Striking is a work in progress, but he's willing to engage. And he's just one of these really classical, tough Welsh guys that's going to come at you. A lot that you can get behind on a guy like this. Mason Jones and over in Bellator, Brett Johns. They kind of got a similar formula, but it's very easy to get behind. He's been my guy so far. Shows a split decision win over Hunter Azure. Should have been unanimous. I don't know why anybody would have scored it the other way. But did he show that there was still some greenness to his game? Yeah. But Hunter Azure is a hell of an athlete, a hell of a wrestler, trains out of a hell of a camp. Score 6 takedowns on him to put pressure on him. Good stuff. The Ludovic Shalonian fight, the next time out, He does an excellent job of just putting pace on and putting some volume. Does he lack a little bit of punching power? Yes. Does he need that against Timur Valiev? Likely. But I think he can work his way into this the later it goes. Valiev is as tough as they get, dude. This guy is fast. He's explosive. He's got excellent versatility in his striking game. He can wrestle, trains at an excellent camp. Really get behind him. But he's had just like up and down moments his entire career. Loses his pro debut. Okay, that's strange for a guy that's that good, right? Then he lost this fight at World Series of Fighting against Chris Gutierrez as a minus 900 favorite, right? Loses a split decision. Total bum ticket, blows up everything. Real bad performance. Fights mixed guys. Now, Trevin Jones, he looks like $1 million in the first round. This guy is as advertised. He's fast. He's explosive. Just his versatility, amazing. Very good. 10-8 round. The second round, he's tired. Actually, you know what? At the end of the first round, he's tired. Pushes too high of a pace. Second round, he's tired. He gets clipped. He gets taken down. He gets punched down. Bad. A win over Martin Day by decision. Very uninspiring. And then the Rowney fight, it's bullshit. It's bullshit for multiple reasons. One, it should have been a draw because of the 10-8 second. But here's another fight where he wins the first round, and then in the second, he gets dropped again, dude. He's doing well, but his chin's not all that good.
No.
Rowney took advantage, and Rowney's not really that big of a power puncher. Trevin Jones took advantage, and Trevin Jones is arguably not that big of a power puncher. He gets clipped by those, and as soon as he gets clipped, his game goes down. Mm-hmm. Now, when Rowney hits him and drops him, he gets on top, has a lot of success. But Rowney's downfall is that he shot 0 takedowns in that fight. Not one takedown did he shoot. He's a former 7-time member of the Brazilian national team in wrestling. He's got excellent entries, excellent single leg, good control, never even attempted one takedown. It was a bad ring IQ is what led Rowney to lose that fight. I think Jack Shore is the opposite. I think he's a guy that's going to go out there and put pace. Maybe you land early. Maybe you sting him early, but he's got an excellent chin on him. He's going to keep coming. The volume's going to start to add up. At some point, he's just going to land something. Could be an elbow, could be a knee up the middle, could be a counter left hook. At some point, he's going to get this guy's attention. And at some point, he's going to plow him to the ground and win rounds. And again, it's a close decision in the worst jurisdiction of all times. Because you watch boxing, bro. It's the same people that are going. I know they'll say, oh, you'll hear the regular UFC judges' names. It's anything like that. I'm saying fishy decisions happen. This is likely going to decision. I don't think if Valiev wins, he's not knocking him out. It's going to be close. It's going to be competitive. Shore's going to be coming forward. Shore's going to be trying to sprinkle in takedowns. Shore's going to edge out the split decision. So I'm going with Jack Shore.
Fair enough. All right, we got Cory McKenna taking on Elise Reed. Cory McKenna is a minus 250 favorite. Elise Reed can be had for plus 200. Who do you have here, Code?
Yeah, okay, so everyone's talked about it a million times, I'm sure, by now, but Elise Reed is a natural 105-pound fighter. She makes her debut at 125 against Eubanks, who's a real 35er, let's be real. So she looks out of place in that spot, but she's probably going to look a lot better here against Cory McKenna. Completely agree. Now, here's the downside of it. So even though she's fighting Cory McKenna at her natural, it's not her natural weight class. It's at 115, so she's still going to be that less physically strong fighter in there. Now, I like what Reed brings to the game in terms of her kicks. She's got pretty good kicks, stays to the outside range. She can definitely rack up volume. But what she doesn't deal well with is pressure, frontwards motion, grappling. The Jasmine Jasuvidius fight, she got mad lucky in that fight. Didn't think she won. Gets taken down, gets controlled. Not a great spot for her, I didn't think. But it's, a Canadian fighter in the U.S., enemy territory. Judges didn't agree, but she does not look good in that spot. Eubanks fights a similar approach, is a much bigger fighter, but she comes forward, she kills the space, she grabs a hold of you, she pulls you to the ground. McKenna does the exact same thing. Am I worried that she's so young? Yes. Does a green fighter like this need to learn a couple lessons before they can really tap into that potential? Of course. Is that lesson going to come at some point? Yeah, I believe so. I just don't think this is the spot. I think that Reed's kicking game is just nullified from that space being killed. Either McKenna grabs a hold of her and tries to wrestle with her, in which once you're in the clinch, you can't kick somebody, or she completes the takedown and gets on top of her, in which you can't kick somebody. So her best weapon is going to get nullified very quick here, and I think that McKenna is just going to rack up points. Does McKenna win by inside the distance? Does she win by decision? I'm not sure. Probably by decision, because it'll be a very ground-heavy approach. But again, I mean, Sinjara Eubanks is not really known for her finishing abilities, and yet she just smashed her in one round. I get it's up a weight class. I get this and that. But I think Cory McKenna, this is a favorable matchup for her stylistically, and I think she's a legitimate prospect. So that's where I'd be going with this one.
Yep, I actually have already parlayed Cory McKenna for a lot of the same reasons. The only thing I will add is that even round one, Hillary Rose versus Elise Reed. Hillary Rose gets top control, is able to absolutely dominate her. Very, very similar to how Eubanks just absolutely just smashed her. Maybe not to that level of domination, but that's the path to victory here. And we've taken some shots at Team Alpha fail over the years on this program, but between Song Yadong and maybe Cory McKenna, there's a new breed of Team Alpha male here. I think that they're going to come with a good game plan, which is pressure. Cory McKenna's hand speed, her striking ability leaves a little bit to be desired, but we're going to be shooting for takedowns. We're going to be trying to control from top position in this fight. And I think she just does just that. The person that I have her parlayed with is Nathaniel Wood, who is a minus 335 favorite. He takes on Vince Morales. I think this really comes down to just volume. I know Morales has a decent left hook. He has finished some guys with that. But going back and watching some of his tape, become pretty clear to me that particularly going back and watching the Draco Rodriguez fight, he was taken down 3 times in that fight. I don't think that Nathaniel Wood is some sort of great wrestler, but I think he could potentially mix some of that in, because I think he will have an advantage there, and maybe he can even find a submission if he gets it down to the ground. But what I really like about Nathaniel Wood, and you look at his stats from the last 2 fights, you look at how he fights in these fights, just putting up in a 3-round fight, being able to put up 136 significant strikes and putting up 131 significant strikes against John Castaneda. Morales is not that guy. He kind of has to land an absolute nuke to do any sort of, or to give you any sort of trouble. John Dobson obviously has knocked out Nathaniel Wood, so obviously it's not a hashtag lock, but as this fight plays out, Vince Morales is 75 significant strikes against Draco Rodriguez. 8 significant strikes in in that low kick decision or low kick TKO loss to Chris Gutierrez. The volume just isn't there. I think he's going to get double or tripled up on volume. And if it goes to the mat, Nathaniel Wood may have him there as well, maybe be able to scoop up a submission. But I was hoping for something absolutely silly to get dropped. It's plus 275 at DraftKings Sportsbook for the submission. So no thanks on that front. I think Wood wins. I think he wins maybe he finds a finish, but I'd be more than happy when I have him parlayed with McKenna to win on the money line, to win by decision, whatever he has to do. I think the longer this fight plays out, those punch stats just keep going up, and I don't think Vince Morales can keep pace. Simple as that.
Yeah, this is one of these fights where I get tunnel vision and I focus on one thing and I'm just like, I love this. And it causes me to go probably a little too heavy on somebody and then I get humbled. But yeah, I agree. Nathaniel Wood is going to chew him up. I think that he's got a wrestling advantage that he could take this fight to the ground. I think his cardio is good enough that you don't have to worry about him fatiguing and losing these later rounds. Volume, as you mentioned, is top notch, but there's a very easy key to this fight that's just laid out right in front of you, and it's the leg kick. So Vince Morales fought Chris Gutierrez, right? Mm-hmm. Chris Gutierrez is a known leg kicker, not a big power guy, but a known leg kicker. He would just kick it every time. It was open. It was on display. Easy money. Took it every time. Morales is limping on it after the end of the first round. Like, he's hurt. He's hurting bad. Second round, he's limping the entirety of the round and eventually gets finished due to leg kicks at the end of the second. Finish due to leg kicks is not something you see in the UFC almost ever. It does happen. Of course it happens. But I mean, the days... Yeah, okay, him and Pedro Hizzo and what's his name? King of the Streets. That is bad. Anyways, you just you gotta check the leg kick. Who knows? I think this big leg kick game plan worked extremely well. Now, what he hadn't faced there was a guy that kicked frequently, and where Chris Gutierrez landed 36 leg kicks. Very impressive. 36 leg kicks. It's a lot. Nathaniel Wood in his last 2 fights, he goes out there and he lands 58 leg kicks against John Castaneda and 57 leg kicks against Casey Kinney. It's amongst the most leg kicks that you will ever see in fights. All this guy does is target that lead leg. Does he have excellent boxing? Yeah. And good pace, and good cardio, and good submissions, and good wrestling, and a bit of a suspect chin. But outside of that, he's the complete package. He has a tough weight cut ahead of him. Pictures online look like he's definitely down to the last ounce. If he's a little bit chinny and he gets caught, well, then so be it. But if not, he is just absolutely going to take away that lead leg. Morales won't be able to wrestle on it. He'll become a sitting target. And I don't know that he TKOs him, but he's just going to have his way at distance, piece away at him, be much, much faster. The only reason I don't remortgage the house to hit on Nathaniel Wood play here is this is MMA for you. Vince Morales' fights in the UFC have been decision against Song Yadong, decision against Zahabi, decision against Benito Lopez, got leg kick against Rodriguez, decision against Draco Rodriguez, and he knocks out Louis Smolka in the first round. And Louis Smolka has never been knocked out in his entire career. So that's MMA for you. This guy is not a power puncher. And he goes out and knocks out a guy that's never been knocked out with an overhand left. Or an overhand right. He has made a lot of improvements his last couple fights. I thought he looked good in the Draco Rodriguez fight as well. Could he just land something on the money? Well, that just has to be part of the gamble, right? That's the risk that we're willing to take. But outside of that, Nathaniel Wood, they call him the prospect for a reason. Is he starting to get out of prospect territory? Yeah, but he's the legitimate A side in this matchup.
And finally, we got Muhammad Makhachev making his UFC debut. He takes on Cody Durden, minus 350 for Makhachev, plus 270 for Durden. Who you got here, buddy?
Yeah, this is another one that I know you and I have kind of spoken about on Twitter, and a few people have mentioned it as well. And it really comes down to, like, do I want to be a value boy? Do I want to just chase that value? Because I honestly do think that there's some value in Cody Durden. I think it's possible that he could go out there and show this kid a trick or two. But it's just like I told you earlier about trying to fade at the right time, right? You have somebody that you would like to fade. You think that they're suspect for losing that fight. But is Kazula Vargas really the guy you want to back? Maybe not. I kind of think that with Cody Durden. Is this the guy that I'm going to back in this spot and go contrarian on it? Yeah, I just don't know. He just maybe doesn't have the cardio. But let's talk about Makhachev because he looks as good as it gets. Jack Shore's on a 27-fight winning streak, and Muhammad Makhachev is on a 29-fight winning streak. It equals Khabib Nurmagomedov's win streak. And I know people will say, well, yeah, but 23 of them are amateur. Go check out Khabib's first 10 fights. They're basically amateur fights, right? You got to build your way up. This kid's got an excellent resume. In terms of the amateurs, he won multiple-time IMAF champion, had beaten a lot of legitimate guys, turns pro. He's been 5-0 since. He's been a highly touted prospect. People love him. If that all sounds too good to be true, it probably is. You check out his Twitter account, right? This is unbelievable. 6-time British wrestling champion. He's a European BJJ champion. His MMA record, we're all saying he's 29-0. This guy's saying he's 30-0. He's got a better record than Khabib. And, of course, he's a 2-time IMAF champ and a 2-time European champion. So, again, that all sounds well and good. Now you see a $350 price tag over some guy like Cody Durden. Causes you to think easy money. Causes you to maybe want to use this guy as a top-ticket guy. So he's only 21 years old. So here's my first question. How could you be a 6-time British wrestling champion if you're only 21 years old? So when was he winning it? Did he win it at 15? He's 15 and he won it? Did he win it the last 6 years from 15 to 21? No, because he hasn't won it in the last 2 years. So that means he was winning British wrestling championships from the age of 13? It's youth wrestling. He's Dagestani. He's not wrestling in Russia. He come over to the UK, which got a notoriously poor wrestling program. So I'm sure he's a good wrestler. I just don't think he's a great wrestler to the level of a Khamzat Chimaev, to the level of a Khabib Nurmagomedov, to the level of an Islam Makhachev. Yeah, I don't think he's at that level by no stretch of the imagination. Just think he can wrestle. And being able to wrestle will win you fights in the amateurs all day long. What else are you bringing to the table beyond that? What else are you going beyond that? Is jiu-jitsu not great? Is wrestling, to me, entries not all that good? Strength in the clinch, not all that good? Striking, not all that good? And then here's another problem, right? So you think, okay, well, let's talk about 21-year-old fighters, okay? So the likes of Zhu Rong, who turned out to be a bit of a bust because he's just far too green. He's getting out wrestled by guys like Vargas. He's not very good, okay? You look at a Chase Hooper, right? Everybody liked him, and it turns out he was a fraud. He's too young. He's not strong enough to be in the clinch with these guys. Well, what about a Kay Hansen? Well, Kay Hansen she's very green. I think she could be good down the road. It's just too soon. Well, what about a Macy Barber? She's going to be the youngest champion ever. Well, she lost to Roxanne Modafferi, Paul. So They all need humbling experiences. Song Yadong is an excellent example because he was fighting in the UFC at 21, but he needed to lose to Cody Stamen. They call it a draw, but he looked bad and he should have lost. He needed to lose to a Chito Vera and learn something. He needed to lose. He lost to Kyler Phillips. How ridiculous does that seem in hindsight? Mm-hmm. And now he's 24 years old and he's pretty damn good, but he needed that time. Edmund Shabazian's another name that jumps to mind, right? You're too young. You're Ian Gary, that guy from SBG. Remember him? Is the next Conor McGregor. Holy Christ, he was struggling mad against Jordan Williams. It's very easy to get the hype of a young fighter. You're so much better. I know what I said on Twitter. I don't think Makhachev, he's not great. He is great. He's as good as it gets for a 21-year-old fighter. And that in itself is the main problem here, is that Durden has man strength. Durden is a family man. He's got a hard grip. He's a former state champion in wrestling. He wrestled a little bit collegiately, but he's strong. He's rugged. He could potentially have a striking advantage. He could potentially actually have a wrestling advantage, even though people don't want to accept that. But the cardio is the one thing that just, I don't know if I can do it. He seems like he's got one round. He gasses out after one round. He did it against Richie Lee. He did it in pretty much the majority of his fights. And shout out to our boy Dan Levy. Good dude. Check out his stuff as well. But he mentioned that he only left, I want to say Sunday or Monday. He flew to the UK. So it's late in the week. No doubt he's in good shape, but he's a big guy for the weight class. He's going to have a tough weight cut. You got to have a long, lengthy flight over the UK. You know, you make weight. There's pressure. The guy's Russian, but he's in his own hometown because he's been living in the UK the last 10 years or something. I got a feeling Durden's going to look like, I'm going to be like, told you so. Told you so. Check this out. Durden's looking good. And then Durden's going to completely falter in the second or the third round and get submitted. And, of course, the Blaine O'Driscoll fight, which is Muhammad Makhayev's last fight, he doesn't look good early. He doesn't. But once his opponent starts to get a little tired too, things get a little greasy, he's got the wits about him to take advantage of the situation and lock it up. So I don't know if I'm going to take that shot on Durden. What I can tell you here, though, is this is a 13-fight card. And I would say that if I'm taking Makhachev, and I may, he's going to be right at the bottom with Molly McCann. I'm trying to think if there's anybody. Pavlovich is hanging right low there, too. I kind of like everybody else outside of them, to be honest. So he's I could see taking him, but my minus 350 shot in Makhachev is going to be like he could be fourth or fifth line.
Yeah, I bet the dog. I think it was,
and I don't fault anybody for taking it. The value is there. The cardio thing has really got me.
Well, I mean, I feel like in our Dogger Pass shouts to the Dogger Pass Racing family Twitter group that we've got. Everyone was getting kind of excited about it. I was watching tape. That is a side that I want to take. I don't even think that it's not even fading Makhachev because he's not good or doesn't have potential to be good. A lot of what you said is he's 21 years old. Now, you said that he may be the best 21-year-old we've ever seen. I mean, no. Khabib entered the octagon for his first time when he was 22. I was looking that up when you were talking. And then he knocks out
Aaron Blanchfield. She's the truth.
And he knocked out Kamal Shalarus in the first round. And obviously went on to be the literal GOAT. I see people trying to compare him to Hamza. It's Hamza came into the UFC when he was 26. He's pretty seasoned. He's put in a lot more time in the gym and and so on and so forth. He's got different athletic intangibles that I don't see. When I look at Makhachev, I see a 21-year-old that needs a lot of time in the gym to build some strength so that the techniques that he knows are a little bit more useful at this level. I don't think Cody Durden is something super, super special down the line, but I think it could be a situation. It could be a situation where it's a bit of a vet lesson. Does he become a Sage Northcutt type of situation? No, I think he does better than Sage Northcutt. I think there are some super skills available there. I just don't know if he has the strength to really employ it at this level. Watching that Blaine O'Driscoll fight, round one was pretty ugly, and then Blaine O'Driscoll gives up his back in round two, gets the submission. His pro debut, against this Glenn McVeigh was like, it was a dogfight, man. And that Glenn McVeigh guy, and this is only back in
2 years ago,
August of
2 years
2020.
ago.
So it's like there hasn't been that much time in between it. And like Glenn McVeigh would legit get sparked by every single guy and probably some of the girls on the UFC roster, my friend. So I'm not saying that this kid's going to be some sort of big-time bust. He may lose this fight, and 5 years from now, you go, man, remember when Muhammad Makhachev lost to Cody Durden? How insane was that? But that's the way that this game is sometimes for 21-year-old wrestlers.
Yeah, I want to see weigh-ins, man. I still might take
That's fair.
Durden. He just needs to win 2 rounds and survive.
100%. And that's really all. I don't think that he's some sort of world beater. I don't think I've ever bet him before. If he loses this, I'll probably never bet him again. And but yeah, I just feel like maybe a little bit too much too soon for Muhammad Makhachev. So my plays this week, as we stand on a Wednesday, are Wood and McKenna parlay. They're all small plays or standard plays. I read it down as small, but like it's pretty much just standard. When I write medium, it's more. But like most of my bets in general are just like it's the exact same type of size pretty much every single time. So we got Wood and McKenna parlay minus 104, Kazula Vargas plus 400, Gunnar Nelson by submission. Added that while we were talking about it on the show. Minus 110 is what I got on that. I may add more if one of these books out there, hey, DraftKings Sportsbook, looking at you, give me some plus money on that. I'll put more down on it. And Cody Durden plus 270. So taking some dog shots this week. Got Nelson by submission at close to a pick 'em, and the parlay is close to evens as well. Win all 4. We have a fiesta. Win one of those dogs and one of those plays. It's a profitable week. That's the way that these things work out. Hit him with the PRP, kid.
I'm gonna go with Volkov, dog number 1. Dan Hooker, dog number 2. Paddy Pimblett. He could be as high as the second ticket. I know Paul doesn't have a whole lot of faith, but I think I'll use him a little bit up there. Gunnar Nelson, we're going to use him up there as well. Going to go with Molly McCann, not too trustworthy. Ilia Topuria is a top ticket guy. We're going to go with Mike Grundy. We're going to go with Sergei Pavlovich. We're going to go with Nikita Krylov, and I like him. I really do. Jack Shore is going to be dog number 3. We're going to go with Cory McKenna, like her as well. Nathaniel Wood, really like. And I think I'm going to take Cody Durden for the time being and just make it the PRP pick. Because if it was to hit, it's going to be huge. Let me finish a little story for you.
I love it.
Just thinking about this right now. So imagine you're in the UK, right? You bring your kid to a little youth wrestling program. Oh, here you go, little Johnny. Johnny's going to run around. He's 12 years old, right? 12 years old. He's wrestling. He does it recreationally. His coach probably also did it recreationally. And they'd be like, oh, hey, guys, you're trying out for the wrestling team. And, okay, we got a little tournament. Oh, this new guy just got over here. He's on the team now. His name is Muhammad Makhachev. He's from Dagestan. Yeah, he's going to win these tournaments. He's wrestling a bunch of high school kids in England. This kid come from Dagestan. You don't think he's going to just mop up the competition in wrestling? Of course he's going to. It's an unfair advantage.
Yeah, it's like my brother.
It'd be the same as like you're on the track and field team and they're just like, oh, this guy's Ethiopian. He's on a long distance team. You got no shot.
Yeah.
0 shot.
It's like my brother. My brother, played football, high school football team, like best football team in the greater Toronto area, pretty much year in and year out. Every single year they would go down and they would have like this like mini, like 1 week tournament. They would play like kind of like half contact games against US teams. And these weren't even good US teams. Get absolutely blown out of the water. Best team in the biggest city in Canada goes down to America, go down to Texas. And it's just like, oh, those guys, yeah, they're like Division III, like Texas football. They would beat them like 60-0. Like there's levels to this. So yeah, you bring a Dagestani kid into England, yeah, it's gonna be takedown city all day long.
Yeah, now all of a sudden he's 12 years old and he's teaching the classes and the coach is writing down notes like, and then what? What do you do when you get to that? Oh, really? Okay, right? So who pushes him? Who gets him to that next level? These guys stayed in a tough room. Chimaev wrestled. He had some pretty high-level wrestling experience. Makhachev got away from wrestling and just kind of did the MMA route and beat a lot of guys early. But he's just so young. He could be the next big thing down the road. I'm not going to say the next Khabib. I'm not going to say the next Chimaev either. I'm not going to say the next Islam Makhachev. He could be good, though. but it's going to be down the road. I don't know what's right here. And then the last thing I'll leave you with, which is why I think I flipped my pick real quick to Durden, is people are saying he's got no cardio. This is a Richie Lang fight, right? This one's interesting to me. So the first round, he outstrikes a Richie Lang 14-13, in my opinion, low volume, but he won the round. The second round, he dumps the clip. He lands 38 strikes. He threw 73. So yeah, in the third round, he's gassed out because he went hard in the second round. That's not even a bad strategy here. Go hard in the first 2 rounds. You need to secure the first 2 rounds. And then the third, it's survival. Just survive. But he needs to lock down those first 2. So if it's all the way at the bottom at the PRP, why not take the dog, right? Why not take the bookie's really going to pay? And of course, if you bet the thing properly, it doesn't matter if he loses anyways. Your real investment is at the top.
My only concern for you is that I was going to be like, the PRP is going to pay really, really big, but Paddy Pimblett's going to shit in that pie for you. You may have to mark that down.
Well, I'll tell the people here real quick because I know there's a lot of questions, and I got a whole video on a broken down explanation. But for the few people that just want a quick one, there's 13 fights on this card, okay? So you're going to go and find your 2 best guys. These are the guys you like the most. Paul and I agree. We really like Topuria. Who's that second guy we like? Okay. We both really like Nathaniel Wood. We also both really like Gunnar Nelson. One of those 2 guys is going on. The next one's dropping down to that second level. So let's just say we're going to go with Gunnar Nelson and
McKenna
and Topuria on our top line. You are betting $100 is what you got. You only got $100. This is your allocated money for the night. $50, half the amount, maybe a little more because you're not getting plus money with this 2-guy parlay. At least half is going on a 1 single ticket, 2 guys on 1 ticket. The next ticket, ticket number 2, has 4 people on it. The first 2 guys are still on the ticket, but you're going to add 2 more. In this case, you've already got Gunnar and Topuria on. I'm going to add Nathaniel Wood, and on a personal level, I'm either going Krylov or I'm going, Paul doesn't want to hear it, going Paddy Pimblett. Beneath that, I may consider Dan Hooker, even though he's an underdog. I'm looking at, I don't know if I want.
You're low on Cory McKenna.
Pavlovich is a 3-1. No, you know what? McKenna, excellent. That's why I like. Jack Short, I like just below that. The ones I don't like, he probably ends up with Pavlovich. Although Pavlovich has got apple pie shitter kind of written on him.
He's just minus 300 heavyweight that we haven't seen in 2 years, almost 3 years, is always going to be a little bit dicey. I bet you he's a lot. I bet you he's put on. I bet you he's going to be. He may actually be so much better. It really depends on what he's done, and there's really no information out there about it. I don't believe he has like an Instagram that I could really like. Either way, like I have no idea what the guy's been up to for the last. It's 2.5 years, but either way.
And then, so essentially to wrap up, your 2 best the people you like the most are on your top ticket. Your next 4, these are the 4 people you like the most, are on your second ticket. Then you're going to add 2 more. The 6 people you like the most end up on that third ticket, all the way down. Now, you put in half of your bankroll, $50, $60, half or a little bit more on the top level. The second level is only going to have 25, right? Maybe a quarter of your action. The third ticket's going to have $10, maybe $15. All the way down to the PRP. The PRP only has a couple bucks. Why? Because there's a lot of apple pie shitter potential here, and it's a 13-fight card. Someone's probably going to blow it. It's $2. But if the $2 was to hit, it pays big. As you build up, you can bet more. Don't be a degenerate right off the hop. Start with $100. Build it up. But yeah, if you get a top ticket guy lose, if Topuria is undersized at 55 and doesn't look good and loses for us, we lose everything. That's the acceptance that you have to have. If Gunnar Nelson, he's been off for 3 years, and he's a guy get caught by Takashi Sato who's thrown some heat early. It's all possible. It's gambling. It's MMA, and we know what we're getting ourselves into. You just have to be willing to take those shots. But that top ticket, got to be your 2 most confident guys. So, of course, once Paul gets to 10,000 followers, which could be a matter of days, could be a matter of weeks, entirely up to you guys. Now I'll release the video, and it's not like I'm waiting on it and this and that. Scripted, good. I want to put visuals. I want to put graphics. I got all the editing software. I'm just going to edit like an episode of Mixed Martial
working
Madness.
on that with you?
He's not, but I'm going to do it similar. I'm going to make it legit, make it like a tutorial. But I'm done posting winnings on Twitter. I'm done posting exact figures. what people fail to understand is like the more people you attract, it's not all good attention. There's people that tag the IRS for some stupid reason. There's people that tag my book.
I mean, the IRS can't do anything.
It's more of a, it's a joke. No. It's a joke. And I'm sure they're joking as well. It's just, it's not good stuff. Also, if you were to say 5% of the world has severe mental health issues, right? And need help. Well, if you get 1,000 new followers, well, it's not conceivable that 50 of those people are sick individuals.
So wait a second.
When you hit up, I got like 2,000 followers over the weekend. There's some weird shit going on, right? And the more money gets involved, it's more than just, oh, your pick sucks. But once it's just getting to a greasy area. So I'm gonna always help you guys. I'll always be here to give out picks, and I'm gonna put out my stuff. Maybe we start a Patreon. I think that's the route I'm heading for the Bellator stuff. And we'll always do the show for free because that's what we do. It'll always be, I'll always put my picks out on Twitter. But for the other organizations, Eagle FC, PFL, Bellator, I think that mitigates somewhere else at some point. And just, I'd like to start a group chat. We have a DOP racing chat. I'd like to eventually have more of like a Patreon Discord, because it's really hard to just answer notifications. Like I get good messages and I get bad messages, but they all get mixed up together. So like, I feel bad if I haven't tweeted you back. You might have asked me a valid question. You might have said something really polite that I'd love to answer to. It's hard to keep on track of. So hopefully I just make us all rich this weekend. The next couple weekends, everyone buys their own island. We never have to worry about it again. But if you do want to support the show, potentially somewhere down the line, we do something like that, $5-10, whatever it is.
Yes, sir. Lots of big plans moving forward for the Dogger Pass here. But that is it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For producer Pat Mayo and Cody Saftic, I'm Paul Shaughnessy, saying goodbye and good luck.
Oh!